Q&A with BA and Praise. And today we're going to cover success principles, millionaire success principles. Why? Because your feelings can change, circumstances can change, but principles remain the same. And myself, after reaching millionaire status and all the other millionaires that I hang around and with, there's some common threads to all of it, right? That we want to share with you today. I want to share with you. I want to impart with Praise. And if you adopt these things, you'll also go out and be successful in your business endeavors and in your life endeavors. Okay. One thing explicitly that I want to share at some point in the conversation is my success formula. Okay. This is a success formula that I got from a paid consultant many years ago. I've used it in all industries that I've been in, whether I was transitioning out of my 9 to 5, whether I was building a real estate portfolio, whether I was pivoted into commercial multifamily, whether I was buying a cigar company, regardless of whatever industry that you go into, if you adopt the success formula, it'll work. Okay. And so at some point in the conversation, if you guys hang on, we're gonna get to that. But Praise, with all that being said, man, welcome back for another amazing week. Just love to see your progress, bro. And the people are eager to see what questions you got for me. And by the way, if you new watching this, you new to this. This is unscripted. We got no I have no idea what Praise is gonna do other than try to give me a headache from week to week. So um, this ought to be pretty good for you guys who are tuning in, and make sure you share it with a friend if it's helpful for you. So Praise, talk to me, man. What we got going on this week?
Man, once again, just grateful to be here, bro. Every single time I come here, it's a new pillar new pillar that I'm being exposed to, and I'm being stretched every time I get on these calls. I feel like this is one of the first true relationships that I've been into where every time I talk to them, I'm getting stretched every time. So yeah, man, it is beautiful just being able to have this luxury, this privilege. So yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. So you ready to do it?
I am. I am.
All right. So my first question would be is so I heard this quote and it says when you stop learning, you stop leading, right? And
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you, what do you do every day to learn or to grow a little more every day? Like what are those things that you have in your day that help you grow every single day?
This was an area that I struggled in for a while. But when I say struggle, I probably mean it differently than most people would identify with struggle. Okay. Now, I've always, since I've stepped into this realm of entrepreneurship and business, become a lifetime learner. I hate reading. I'm a slow reader when I read manuscript. So I read with my ears, right? Because it's not good enough to just identify the weakness and not come up with a solution for it. I can't just say I don't like to read, so I don't read. It's like, no, I don't like to read manuscript because I read slow and then my brain started wandering. So I read with my ears and I can listen to 1.5 times speed and keep up with my brain. So it's always a workaround, right? We got to be solution oriented. The thing that I mean by a struggle is that until recent years, I would oftentimes let that happen by happenstance. So it'd be like, oh, I got some discretionary time right now. Let me listen to a book. Oh, I got some discretionary time right now. Let me watch this, whatever. And so success is a planned event. If if you pursue it randomly, then you're going to have random results. So I had to think. I'm like, okay, well, what system has really worked well for learning, right? Now, the information that came from this system probably ain't the best, called the school system, but the structure of it made sense because it gave us a consistent cadence and a consistent outlook on what we were supposed to be doing day in and day out at what time intervals and all the rest of it. And so success leave clues. When you look at that model, it say, okay, well, when I go to work, I got to get up at a specific time. I got to go in. I got to clock in at a specific time. I got to be in the context of my job doing XYZ activities during this specific time. When I go to school, I got to get up at a certain time. I got to be there at a certain time. I got all these various subjects that happen at different times of my day specifically. So I took that same model and just adopted it to like my own personal development and business. So I have blocks of time on my calendar daily that are specifically for different points of learning.
Mm.
So I'm in various coaching programs. I always am, and so a couple of them are on demand, similar to our believers in business community. So inside of the programs, then I have one of them on my calendar, I think is 3 times a week, and the other one is on my calendar 2 times a week at, I think it's like 9 a.m. every day, right? So I have a window to get into those studies based on that curriculum during that time frame. 6 p.m. at night, I have that's my reading time. So that's like audiobook, whatever. Then I compound that because when I'm at the gym, I don't always have to listen to music. I actually like working out, so I don't need to distract myself from the workout. So then that gives me an opportunity. Like today, I did shoulders and arms, and I listened to Brad Lee and Dan Pena podcast, right, on dropping bombs. So I listen to a lot of educational content because I'm working out 5, 6 times a week for an hour. Then that's giving me an hour to consume daily content. So I'm always looking to feed myself, but more explicitly, I do it at certain time intervals and make sure that it's a planned event and not a random activity. Because here's the problem with random activity is if I get into a cycle where maybe my schedule get through off and I'm doing speaking engagements and I'm traveling and I'm doing all these other things, it's not that we're not gonna fall off, but at least I won't fall completely off. Right? Same is true right now. I'm reading the Bible all the way through. I failed years prior because I never did it this way. One, I'm doing it. What's the name of that program? I got to get the name of this because I think a lot of people have benefit from this. It's a specific type of Bible reading program that I'm on this year that I think is by far the best that I've ever come across. It's called the Bible Recap with Tara Lee Cobble. So it's like various chapters every day, right? Maybe 4 or 5 chapters, but then it's a devotional for 6 minutes where she explains in the YouTube video the context of what may be missed of what you read. So it's phenomenal, but it's heavy, right? This morning it took me 40 minutes to get through the reading, and I haven't even got to the devotional yet. Now, part of that because I'm a slow reader, but even if I think you're a good reader, you're probably still 25 minutes in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point in saying that is though, because I know as the day drifts, it's probably less likely to happen. So that's the thing I set my day with. Every day I get up and I know for 30 to 40 minutes, I'm about to be in this Bible plan. You know what I'm saying? We on day 150 something. We almost midway through the year, right? And I'm every day. So even if I get off track, like I was in Vegas getting an award and, a lot of pomp and circumstance, I got off track for like 2, 3 days. Well, I got back, I had to get busy getting caught up, but it wasn't catastrophic because I had such a rhythm to it
Mm,
that a couple of days I got off, but I knew how to get back on that rhythm. If you leave it randomly, then you never get back into the rhythm because there wasn't a rhythm. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I think that's my long-winded way of saying anything that's important has to be scheduled.
Mm, that's good. That's good, man. Because as I've transitioned to getting more serious with the systems, the SOPs, the offer, all these things are getting in place. I'm realizing how much more maintenance I have to do, how much more management I have to do, how much more structuring I have to do. And I wanted to hear your principles because there was times where I would say for a first couple months of this year where my success was like I had an idea. Well, I knew what I wanted to do, for example, like read, listen to these certain people, all that stuff, but it was never planned, right? So I'm doing it whenever I feel like doing it, right? So like I knew I was gonna read my book and listen to this person speak, and like for example, like my day would be read a book, listen to you, listen to another speaker, um, read the Bible, right? But then like that's all fluctuating because I don't have it scheduled, right? So that's
Mhm.
why I wanted to ask you because a lot of times I was just doing stuff randomly, and then the next day I'm doing it randomly again, and then it was just over and over and over again. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. And the next question I wanted to ask is, so when you
By
start,
the way, to that point, before we move on from that,
yeah,
the reason why that's so important is because do you remember going to school?
yeah,
Do you remember always wanting to go to school?
no,
Okay, well, same will be true when you self-educating. you're not gonna always want to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like yesterday, it took everything in me to sit down and turn on one of those trainers, right? But then I found myself watching two after I turned on one, but I didn't feel like doing it at all. So the reason why the scheduling of it is so important is because then it helps to create more of a non-negotiable for you. If
Mm.
you leave it arbitrary and up in the air as to when you do it only when you feel like it, then your feelings are fleeting, and you can find yourself into this pattern where you look up and you're like, dang, I ain't did that in 3 weeks.
Man.
Because your flesh is always seeking the thing that's the least path of resistance that it thinks is giving it the gratification and stimulation right there in the moment. So
Yeah.
this other thing that I may be injecting and infusing myself with all this new knowledge, but I don't really get to show that off until the next time that I get to go and train somebody or coach somebody or teach somebody. So the delayed gratification of learning for 6 weeks to then go finally perform, or learning for 6 months to get, bro, it takes discipline in order to stay diligent.
Mm.
Otherwise, if you don't have the discipline to stay diligent, then you'll be dejected.
Man. I'm soaking up everything right now, man, because I need to be literally that disciplined and diligent. And I, and I've been working on it. And I would say I've gotten way better, because previously, right, my day would just be whatever my day is. Right now, I'm waking up every day with a certain agenda, and that's what I have to complete in that day. But I realized as I was reading, I think it was the book of Luke, and I remember when it was like, this is the Message version I read it in, and it was like greater gifts mean greater responsibilities. That's when it's to whom much is given, much is required. And I was just thinking of all the things that I'm required to do, right? I was talking to, like, just sitting in my quiet place, like, man, like there's a lot of responsibilities. Like, as much as I don't want to do it and wake up and clean and do X, Y, and Z, it's like my feelings are only going to lead me more away from it. And that kind of steers into the next question I wanted to ask you is, what is your mindset when, because we're constantly being stretched by God and constantly being in just, it's not convenient, it's uncomfortable. So what is your mindset when you're in, when you're doing things that are uncomfortable for you? Like, for example, like discipline is going to be uncomfortable, right? Like, for example, reading and studying, because mind you, I get on myself hard. Like, I'm hard on myself. Like, if I'm missing few days of reading, if I'm not like studying like a mad scientist, I feel like my day is over. Like, I'm like, man, I've ruined the day, right? So how do you stay grounded in those times, or when you're repeatedly doing something uncomfortable? Because I want to get better at being comfortable with the uncomfortable. So what would be your advice on that?
So just for clarification, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I want to make sure I answer this appropriately.
yeah.
When you say uncomfortable, can you give me a little more context? In what way are you saying that, right? Because I got two different answers depending on what that means.
Okay, so for me, so I'm used to, right, let me just say this. I ain't never been this disciplined ever. Right. This is the first time I'm really being like, everything is set in stone. Like, if it can't be nothing outside of that. So usually, right, I'm relaxing, hanging out with friends who aren't sharpening my continents but dulling it. Right. Just basically chilling with everybody in Egypt. Right. That was what I was used to. Now it's isolation training, pruning, intentional talks, intentional meetings, intentional spend, like everything is intentional, right? And it's uncomfortable, right? Because I'm used to just hanging with people in Egypt and doing whatever they doing and stuff like that. So I'm in a whole nother like lifestyle. I'm living a whole nother way, and I'm like, this is all uncomfortable for me. If I'm being honest, like, bro, there's days I want to wake up and hit those people up that I used to be, in my old Egypt with, knowing that I know the outcome. I'm not going to get
Yeah,
anything done. We're going to have the same
yeah,
conversations. It's going to be the
yeah,
same fleeting conversations.
yeah,
Now it's everything is intentional.
yeah,
Everything needs purpose. Everything is growth. And that's uncomfortable for me a
yeah,
lot of days, right? So I
yeah,
wanted to ask you about, how do I stay comfortable in the uncomfortable in that
yeah.
sense?
So I'm glad I asked that clarifying question, right? True story. Yesterday it's probably like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Mm,
I come in the house, had my cigar for the day because I've been done like super early, right?
yeah.
wife, she get done doing what she was doing, and we were just talking, and I'm like, I really feel guilty, like as if I'm supposed to be doing something when I'm not supposed to be doing nothing. Like I didn't check the box, and I didn't check boxes that wasn't on the box, right? So that's why I wanted to clarify what you were asking me, because I actually, and the good news for you is that that pendulum will also swing for you. But I'm actually uncomfortable not doing those things that you're talking about.
Mm,
Now, some of that is healthy, but I have to be careful because it can also be unhealthy to where it's like this performance based, um, this performance based satisfaction, right? Which can become an idol if not careful. So that's why I have to be consciously aware of that. And whenever I'm feeling like that, I talk to dad, right? We got to talk about it to make sure that you know um, that my motives are correct and that it's from a healthy place. And also asking him to help me find peace in the stillness, to find joy in the stillness, to find satisfaction in the stillness, right? Because otherwise, I'm just always on, always on. Now, and I think I referenced this before, I highly recommend everybody go take the Enneagram test, right? Enneagram. And it's a believer-based personality test that tell you kind of what your innate qualities are. And when you're in your most innate, fully present state, like the purest that you are, how God created you.
mm,
So for me, on this particular test, and it's like I think it's 1 through 9 is the ranking system, right? And each one is a different number that represents an adjective. And so I score a 99 as my top most dominant uh, characteristic, and 99 is an achiever, which is a 3, right? So in the Enneagram, my score highest is a 3, which is an achiever, which is great because that's why I'm Mr. Execution, right? Like I don't know how to just stay in ideation mode. It actually makes me um I feel almost nauseous if I stay in ideation mode too long. I gotta take action. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Like I have to take action.
Yeah.
And so um it's a benefit but can be a detriment because there's a shadow side to everything. That's the duality of the way God set this thing up. So while in my best state I'm executing, but then in my worst state I have the desire to execute when maybe that shouldn't be my desire at that point in time. It should be the rest. That's why I have to maintain the Sabbath every week. Right? I have to discipline. So you want to talk about discomfort? That's the one piece. Every week when I have my Sabbath and I unplug, that's the discomfort.
Mm.
When I could see the bubble on the IG letting me know I got all these messages in the DM and I can't touch none of them. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
that's where it is uncomfortable for me because I want
Mm,
to jump in and do stuff, right? So then as a secondary characteristic, I score 96 as an 8, and an 8 is a challenger. So this is why I'm so effective as a coach, a friend, a spouse, all the rest of it. I'm Mr. Accountability. I'm going to challenge those things that are wrong, either against those that I love or that we do wrong to ourselves. I'm going to challenge it, right? I'm going to call you out about something if I love you, right? And so that can be good, but then that can also be intimidating for some. You know what I mean? So there's a
yeah.
shadow side to all of it. My point is that the more, by the way, I'm just going to throw this in here since I'm here. One of the things that really blessed my marriage, right? I've been married to my wife, October be 18 years, been together since 2001, right? And we had always like been at odds a lot, right? And we thought it was just because we've been together so young and there's so many different iterations and evolution as to who we become over the time, which that's a part of it. But the biggest part of it was my wife, her most natural state is a peacemaker.
Mm,
And one of my most natural states is a challenger. So for decades, bro, she think I'm attacking her and I'm thinking she being passive and deflective. So once we both went and took these tests in marriage coaching, it forever changed our marriage. In the last 4 years since we figured all this out, we have argued less. We have like I can't even remember the last time we had an argument. Because what we used to do, right? Ignorance is expensive. Because we were ignorant of that about one another, the enemy was allowing us to weaponize our differences instead of embrace them. God uniquely put us together because while I'm out here on 10, she the one like, babe, you know what I'm saying? Pump your brakes type of situation,
Yeah.
right? And then on the other side of that, if I feel as if she's leaning too much into that peacemaker, that I can push her a little bit, right? So it actually is like the perfect dynamic that he put together, um, by way of that. So it's just very important that we understand who we are in our most innate qualities and look for that in partnership and spouses to kind of complement that. I don't know what you asked me, by the way. That was just my
Right.
answer to everything. Okay. So what was the initial question?
Nah, it was how do you be comfortable in the uncomfortable?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
y'all
yeah,
got that plus a couple bonus tickets. You know what I'm saying, for the
yeah.
show and all
No,
of that.
and that's huge, man, because just for me, I was doing a lot of reflection this week, and just going back to my roots. Like, why do I do the things I do? Why are these things on autopilot, right? And all of my roots either were neglect, which is what I've grown up on. Like, every time I did something family wise, it was a neglection that I was receiving at the other end, right? I learned how to neglect. They taught me how to neglect. My church taught me how to neglect, right? And it was either that or excuses, right? So I was going to the root, and every time I went there, I'm like, yo, this is either an excuse or I've just neglected this for too long, right? So I've seen it show up in my daily habits. I keep seeing it show up in my consistency and my decision making and all of these different things. So reason I'm asking these questions about the principles that you live off of is because I realized like the me not taking accountability has been my biggest downfall.
Mm,
It's the biggest thing that's been holding me back. Like I
mm,
sat this week, I just sat down and just kept it real with myself this week. Like, yo, like you go another week, day, month, year with no accountability, then you might as well just stay in your mom's house. You might as well just keep living off of her. Like literally, like because I'm like, this is what you're headed for if you don't take no accountability, right?
mm,
And I didn't even realize that I didn't have that in my vocabulary, right? That was
mm,
the one thing I was like, what do I have to do that's different? It's being accountable, right? I was playing the blame game. I was always saying it was because of this or it was because of that. And I never just looked at me like, yo, you need to take matters into your own hands and be accountable. So I just seen a lot of neglection show up in my everyday habits, and I wasn't really going like asking myself why or where it's coming from, but it was just a root of no accountability, right? My mom or asked me to do something, I'm not doing it. Why? Because I don't feel like it's going to really make an impact, or I don't really feel like it's necessary. But it's just not being accountable, like not being reliable, right? And I realized being coached from you, you're reliable. Like I wouldn't be getting coached from you if you weren't reliable. So I was like, I want to, and it says in scripture that if you don't have your house in order, you're worse than an unbeliever, right? So I'm like, I can't lead any other house if my house isn't even in order. So I was like, I need to know these principles so I can fix my house, not only just me included, but the actual house that I'm living under. So that's why I'm asking these questions, because I want to change the principles that I'm living off of. I was living off of principles off of neglect, no accountability, off of blaming, off of being a victim, and it was showing up in other ways, like neglecting in self-care, neglecting in rest, neglecting in prioritizing, right? So there was just all these things that were showing up in my everyday life that I was like, if I don't get these out of my habits and my DNA, it's going to show up in my business. And I don't
mm,
want any of these things to transfer over because I'm the brand, right? I'm reading this book on the Nehemiah Code, and it's talking about how to be a great rebuilder, how to be a good leader. And it was just in this book, it was saying, be the example yourself. And Nehemiah was also building with his builders. And I was realizing, like, I'm asking all these people to help me build, and I'm not willing to get in the trenches with them. So I'm like, that needs to go, or else nothing is ever going to get built. Because Gideon said, "Do as I do," right? And
mm.
I don't feel comfortable to be like, "Do as I do," because I'm not doing what I need to be doing. Like I know what I need to do, and I need to be able to do that. So yeah, and I've
Yeah.
just been really digging and getting to the root of these things. So
Yeah. I mean, bro, first of all, I think I speak for everybody on here. We appreciate your vulnerability. Like, this what I was trying to tell you a couple weeks ago. The work you doing right now at 23, this self-realization, this accountability, this objectivity, this pursuit of more, all of the things, these are the things that are going to make you eons better and ahead of most people within a decade of you in age, right? These things, these are the moments. I'm so glad that you took the pivot, because I know this week we were going to talk about marketing and sales initially, because last week we showed the 6 and 7 figure webinar. By the way, if y'all, oh, what did we do? We did webinar last week or offer? I don't know.
Offer, offer.
We did 7 figure offer last week, 6 or 7 figure webinar the previous week. So go back in the playlist and watch those if you haven't. But I'm glad you took this pivot, because you can't lead people where you're unwilling to go. That's what I just heard you say, and it's so true. You can't lead people where you're unwilling to go yourself. And if you attempt to do that, you almost got the spirit of a Pharisee. You know what I mean? To expect something higher of somebody else that you ain't even living yourself, right? And I think it's just so important that we park here for a minute and talk about these success principles, because if you don't get these, you won't be able to sustain all the other stuff. I can show you strategically and tactfully like how to go and make more money, but without these principles that we're talking about today, you're not going to sustain it. You ain't going to serve and shepherd the people well, and you won't be able to maintain where you're going. It's just a fact. And this is one of those situations where people will never raise their hand and say, I need this help, but everybody does though, right? You market a webinar and say, you know, come get principal and leadership training. Ain't nobody coming to that. You market a webinar and say, come learn how you're gonna make $1 million in the next 60 days. Everybody there, but they don't realize that making the $1 million in the next 60 days is irrelevant if you don't have this part.
Yeah.
You just be a fool that once had money. If you even got to the place of going to succeed in that regard. So I do have a question. Um, what does accountability mean to you?
Man, that's a great question. What accountability means to me. I have a two-part answer. So the
Mm-hmm.
first part would be doing what is necessary, no matter what. Like for me in my house, like my mom, she's an acts of service woman, right? That's how you love. That's how I show her my love. But that's cleaning the house, that's taking out the trash, that's doing the laundry, picking up groceries if need be, right? And those things every day. Do I want to do them? No. Is it what's necessary? Yes, right. So I think first part of accountability is doing what's necessary, no matter how you feel. And then the second part of accountability, I believe, is um, and I guess it's me saying it a different way, but showing up, right? Like show up. Like for example, like going to the gym. There's days I don't want to go there until I show up to the gym. I just got to walk through those doors, and all that weight that was on me before is off because I'm already in the gym now. But the most important part was showing up. I think that's the biggest weight you have to lift at the gym, in my opinion. So I would say doing what's necessary and showing up. And this is a topic I haven't been taught. Right? These are things I'm just learning. That's why I came to you today with just like literally I don't know, right? I can't even sit here and say I've done these things as much as I like. And obviously I'm doing certain things in my life that show accountability, but knowing what it truly is, I feel like I haven't really been taught that as a man. So that's why I came to you today, like, yo, like I need these things to be imparted into me before I move on with anything else. So yeah, that's what accountability means to me. So
Yeah, I think that's a great foundation, bro. I mean, I think many people will have many definitions of it, but there's only so far off that the definitions can veer until they just completely off of what accountability is.
yeah,
It's keeping one's word to oneself. Before I keep my word to you and anybody else, I got to keep my word to myself. Now, does that mean that 100% of the time you get it right? Absolutely not. But it better be 90 plus. You better be always scoring an A if you want to be elite. You have to always have an A on your paper in this area of accountability if you want to be elite. And it starts with you. It starts with those micro commitments, to your point. It starts with, I'm going to the gym today, and I don't care if I done drug my tail for an hour and a half and sat in the car and had a Celsius and scrolled social media, but I still went in though. By the way, I just explained a morning for me, right? Like it took me an hour and a half. I got up at 5:30 to get there, and then I get there at 8:30. Like, how did this happen? But I got there though, right? And I still went in. I still got it in because I got to keep my word to me. And if if you want to be exceptional in life, it ain't even about how smart you are. It's just about how accountable you are. We live in such a fickle society, and we've normalized things that aren't normal. We normalize people not keeping their word. We normalize not getting married. We normalize negative now. It made everybody think that it's not normal to say things you don't mean. Just because somebody didn't call you on it, you should call yourself on it. There was a contractor that did some work recently as we selling a lot of our properties, and we had kind of drug out his payment, right? Because he drug out his part. And I opened up the phone on social media. It's a true story. It happened like 2 weeks ago. And one of our coaching clients, Candace, she don't even know this, but she posted something about um, pay a worker his wages or something, right? It was just a still post. It wasn't no words, no nothing. I mean, it wasn't a video or anything. It was just that was the first thing I saw when I opened my phone up. And immediately, Holy Spirit convicted me. I reached out to the guy, got his Zelle, sent him the money. That's accountability. Nobody would never know that. I was sitting outside by myself having a cigar, scrolling social media. Nobody knows this until I just told you this. That's what accountability looked like. Being accountable to God and being accountable to yourself. So what does that mean? That means I then first have to have standards for myself. I got to have standards. Standards is the floor, by the way. This is the line by which I never go under. Because if I break this plane, then I got to deal with me. I don't know how to deal with me because I ain't make me. That's when you get into depression and anxiety and all the other things, right? So you have to establish standards for yourself. Well, I'll tell you what, the Bible got some good ones. The Bible got some good ones. Just like no sooner than I read that scripture, it did what? Immediately went and paid that man. Why? Because it wasn't random. That was the Holy Spirit trying to get a hold of me. And he know that I live by his standard. Take desires and take delight in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. He'll give you what he wants you to have. So your desires become his desires. His desires become your desires. I want what he wants. That's my most common prayer, which is part of my success formula, which I'm about to give here in a second. But you got to have standards because that's what you, otherwise, what are you holding yourself accountable to? It go right back to, if it ain't scheduled, it don't happen. If there's no standard, it don't happen. When I said I wasn't drinking no more, January 6, 2019, I ain't had a drink since. After 17, 18 years of getting it in, I changed my standard. I'm not doing it no more was the standard. And guess what I haven't done? It no more. I'm talking about this from getting it in a few times a week for 17, 18 years. And the Holy Spirit got a hold of him and was like, man, give me that. Like, we've been wrestling with this for a long time. Just give me that. I got something different for you. You're going to have to trust me, though. Okay, cool. Here you go. Standard. So it starts with that. It starts with just establishing what are the non-negotiables for you. I'm not going to have friendships and relationships in my life that aren't reciprocities. If they aren't reciprocating, this ain't me keeping score, but you know when somebody reciprocating. If they're not reciprocating, then I can't call you friend. If you don't further the narrative of where I'm trying to go in life, I can't call you friend. I know you, and maybe we know we got history, but you ain't my friend. My friends help me get to where I'm trying to go in life. In some way, shape, or form, they're contributing to that.
Yeah.
To my mental health, to my emotional health, to my financial health, they're doing something in my life to contribute to that, by which helps me get to where I'm trying to go in life. Otherwise, you ain't my friend because we grew up together.
Yeah.
By the way, just because you my family don't make you my friend, because my friends help further my narrative.
Oh, man.
And guess what? And I help further their narrative. This is where people go wrong. They got these fickle standards. As a matter that many of them don't have any. You stand for nothing, you fall for anything. See, many people are cowards, and so they allow society to tell them how they're supposed to move.
Yeah.
They allow society to tell them how they're supposed to move.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's my brother. And you didn't have a choice in that matter. You didn't get to choose to have a brother. God gave you one. But you get to choose the nature of that relationship, though. I didn't pick my parents. I love them. But I still have to understand in what capacity do they belong in my life based on the vision and the mission that God has me on. People be like, oh, I talk to my mom every day. And I'm not knocking that, by the way, if you one of those. That's cool, but hearing about what's going on with auntie and she back in the hospital and, you know, her diabetes and flared up, I don't know how that help you get further where you're trying to get in life listening to that kind of conversation every day. And so we mistaken activity and productivity. We make these poor excuses for ourselves like, but that's my mom. Yeah, but that's also just gossip that y'all do every day, and it ain't helping you get no further. You just wasting time, which we should never waste because that's our most precious asset. You talking to your homeboy, your homegirl, while they bored at their dead-end job and they trying to kill their time and they killing your dream. But you feel guilty and why you need to talk to them every day because y'all been friends for 20, 30 years. It don't make sense, bro. Where there's no vision, the people will perish. Everything around you dies as a result of not having clear vision. This is what's happening to people every day. They have no standard. So my standard has characteristics and traits that it doesn't matter who the person is. It's no different than in our company, we got core values. If you don't match these core values, you can't work for our company. So the core values are no respecter of person, they're respecter of the core values. So same is true with the standards that I have in my life. If you don't fit this narrative, then I can't have you in my life in certain capacities. There's certain people that text or call that I gotta wait a week before I respond to because I have to get to a certain place mentally and based on my calendar that if I'm gonna take this call, there's a good possibility that something that they're gonna say is gonna throw me off. And so I have to make sure I'm at a good place that I respect and protect my mission enough that I guard my heart for the appropriate time that I can have that conversation, if I have it. By the time that week come and go, I may not even double back. Well, some would say that's rude. Yeah, it's rude to your dream to do it any other way. That's who it's rude to. It's not rude to the individual. It's rude to my dream for me to do it any other way. It's rude to the people that I'm called to serve if I'm not my highest and best because I let something that's not even a part of this equation throw me off because I chose to let that behind the gate. Standard, guard your heart. Standard. What does that look like to guard your heart at all costs? Now, if we got emotional trauma and things that we need to deal with that ain't been dealt with, then that's something that we need accountability. I got to go talk to somebody about that. But if it's genuinely based on my assessment, I know that this person show up with nonsense, and chances are there's going to be uh, a distraction. Then I got to guard my heart. That's my responsibility. God said, "Guard your heart. You guard your heart." You pray for wisdom, don't use it, you're a fool. You pray for discernment, don't use it, you're a fool. And we know who those people are in our lives, but yet we let them infiltrate because of relationship and history. Watch how much God tell you that ain't his fault when you finally bump into him. But you know Sheila, you know what I'm saying? Like that's my girl, and so that's why I kind of got off course and I just don't want to. I don't want to see how them conversations go. I don't want to be on the wrong side of that conversation because you either gonna lean into idols or instruction.
Say that again, please.
You either gonna lean into idols or instruction,
Man,
but you ain't gonna do both. And everybody ain't gonna understand it, and ain't everybody's job to understand. Nor is it your job to explain it to everybody. And we've made so many different things idols today and justified. I was just with one of my pastor friends having breakfast this morning, and he was talking about some high capacity people that he's been kind of pouring into in this season. And they were like, "Yeah, Doc. I mean, even if we could have church on like a different day of the week, like Thursday, or like a day that don't really infringe with like what I got going on, but at the same time, he's like, because I don't really need the worship and all that. I just need the word." And I'm not judging him because I was there. I was the guy that would get to church like after 40 minutes so I could slide in before they started preaching because I didn't really understand worship and the way it was done in the black church that I used to attend. It was just it was a show, right? But my point in saying that is this though. While I'm not judging, I also see how unhealthy we are as a society in that we think we supposed to build our lives and then fit God in as opposed to structure our lives around God. Standard is off. The standard is off. When you consider time with God inconvenient, then you confused about who gave you convenience. So that's what it looked like, bro. It's disciplining yourself because you're so clear about your yes that you have no problem with your no.
man, this is beyond powerful, bro. You have no idea. Man, I needed the standard 101 class because every person I had a different standard with. Every single person. I would allow this but wouldn't allow that. Then with this person I'd allow this and wouldn't allow. And it just was fluctuating. And I'm like, and I remember, and I say this quote even more now, how you do anything is how you do everything. And
Facts.
that is so true. People, and I said it in one of my videos the other day. I'm like, bro, if you're inconsistent with yourself, there's another aspect of your life you're inconsistent in. If you neglect yourself, there's another aspect of your life where you neglect something, bro. And I'm seeing how more true and true that quote is every day, because I realized really this past week that my standards were off. Like, being honest, like I feel like, and one of the things that I've been reading about in my book is true vulnerability and transparency. I wouldn't get nowhere in this coaching if I wasn't truly vulnerable and transparent. If I'm coming on here like, all right, bet, what's the next tactic and thing we got to figure out? And I don't have no standard or no like 101 on any, no principles, no foundation, no nothing. I didn't want to keep, I couldn't keep being a Pharisee and then getting mad that I'm not becoming like Jesus. Like, I couldn't keep doing that, having a Pharisee heart and then getting mad I'm not turning out like him. I'm like, yo, okay, I don't understand this. I need help, because I was living on faulty foundation and wondering why I kept falling. Right. And I just was like, man, I need to, it was just a complete week of vulnerability for me. So coming on this, I was like, yeah, I need to, it need to be a 101 today for me, learning what true standards are, true principles. Because mind you, I want to obviously, copy you. If I'm being honest, like I want to copy the outcomes you have, but I can't do what you do in public if I don't do what you do in private. I can't do that. Right. And that was what I was focusing on the most, because I'm like, I need to know what you're doing in private that makes you be able to perform in public. Like, I was trying to, and subconsciously, right, I'm getting ready to perform. Whole time I get scared to perform because I know I didn't prepare in private. That's why I feel like people get scared to perform sometimes, because your private preparation wasn't good, and I don't want to fall under that narrative ever again. I already did that when I was playing sports, where I could cut corners, and then when I see players who didn't cut corners, we lose. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to lose no more. Like, I'm tired of losing, not only just to whoever else is out there and my enemy. I'm tired of losing to myself. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm tired of losing to. Like, so that's why I came on here today. Like, yo, I need to know what these standards are, these principles, because I can't keep going out here and blaming everybody else. The whole time, the only person I'm losing to is me. The devil didn't have to touch Eve in order for her to lose. She lost because she lost to herself, right? So I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep losing to myself. And this week was a huge revelation. Like, yo, you need to understand what true standards are. So every time you meet somebody, mind you, I know I'm not going to bring you around none of the people out here. Even when I talk to other people about you, they're like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to get people who never will understand to understand, right? So it was just me not understanding what true standards are and boundaries. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So that's why I came on this call today. Like, yo, I need standard 101, bro. Standard.
One of the biggest things that not only you but everybody listening to this can remember about people. Jesus showed us something very powerful in the parable of the talents about people and the way that we should handle people, right? It's not that you treat people differently, you treat them accordingly. So I don't treat people differently in my life. I love everybody, but I treat them accordingly. So in the parable of the talents, God blessed each of them according to their ability. Some looked at it as unfair, but he blessed them according to their ability, which is their capacity. So the way in which I deal with people is they get more of my capacity according to who they are and their ability and what contribution they make in my life. So I don't treat them differently, I treat them accordingly. People have different levels of access and take different parts of my capacity according to their ability and their contribution in my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So you really have to always assess who people are in your life. And it's and really understand that, bro, this is not, you being, because people say you funny acting. No, 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 no. You're being objective. You're being a good steward over this life that God has given you and the time that He's given you to do it.
100%, bro. Because I realized, especially going into, because I already sensed the shift, right? I've been in this shift, but things keep on shifting, right? The shifting hasn't stopped for me, literally, right? And I sense another shift that's happening, and I can't. I realized since I didn't have true non-negotiables, everything was negotiable.
Facts.
Everything was negotiable. I'm
Facts.
negotiating my time, my effort, my standards. Everything is being negotiated. And I'm sitting there like, am I ever going to, put my foot down? Right. But I never had anything to put my foot down on. I didn't have a non-negotiable to be like, hey, I don't allow this with anybody, right? Maybe for this person, I'm like, okay, like I could use girls, for example. This girl, she's a little prettier, so I'll draw back on this non-negotiable. But if this girl don't look like this, then, like if we're being honest, right? So I would
That's a
always
good pick, by the way.
come
I would
on,
agree
right?
with
So it was
you.
always a different negotiate thing. I'm negotiating there, sir. Now I'm spending an hour with God, but then she want to hang out, so now I'm spending 45 minutes, right? So you know what I'm saying? If we being real, so I keep fluctuating the time because I had no non-negotiables, right? I'm saying, oh Lord, I'm gonna be in your presence 2 hours. An hour done, my boy hit me up. I'm like, all right, then I read for an hour. Right now, I'm closing the Bible because I'm like, at least I got an hour in. You feel me?
Yeah.
But I didn't
Yeah.
have no non-negotiables to stand on
Yeah.
anyway. So that's why it's being negotiated. And I was really just fed up of all of that this week because I've seen myself do that so repetitively. I'm negotiating his time for people who weren't even there when he created everything. So what can they give me that he can't?
Yeah.
Right. But that just means I must not know something about him. And I trust them more than him. Right. And I was like, yo, who do I really trust? Because it says in scripture, wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also. So I was
Right.
looking at myself like, what am I desiring? Because that's where my treasure is. And it was people pleasing. It was no accountability. It was creating a new version of my old Egypt, right? Because I don't
Mhm.
think people recognize all because it's different people doesn't mean it's a different Egypt, right? And that's one thing I had to recognize that it was different people coming in, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Same Egypt mentality, right? So I had to realize that because I kept falling into the same thing because I didn't have no non-negotiables, bro. And I know you have non-negotiables. If you didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I got
Simple.
him in a big way. Like, because here's the thing. This is another misnomer in society, and if the ear not trained to hear it, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
People always say that I'm serving God. I'm serving God, right? But we really supposed to serve people and please God as opposed to serving God and pleasing people.
Mm.
We supposed to serve people and please God instead of serving God and pleasing people. That's where we go wrong. We trying to people please. When the only one you should be trying to please is God. We should be serving people accordingly, not differently, accordingly, and pleasing God in our efforts of doing that. But that's
Yeah.
when all this big FOMO movement happened a couple years ago, right? The fear of missing out. All of that is people pleasing, bro. So everything you've been saying is spot on, man. It's just about setting the standards, having non-negotiables. Because here's the thing: what also helps in that is it takes the subjectivity out of it.
Mm.
It was a tough decision, but it didn't fit my standard. I don't have to beat myself up about it. The standard did the work. I didn't. It didn't check the box.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And this is extremely important because the more successful you get, the more opportunities there are to go against the standard, which is why you got to have one.
100%.
Because subjectively, you'll be wound up because you got all these spirits tugging at you, bro. And they're interrupting your inner peace, and you can't really figure out why. And it's critical. It's critical that you build your foundation on standards.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, we got them in our marriage. We got them at the crib. We got them, like I got them in every tentacle of my life. I have them. There's certain people that can call me at random and I'll answer. There's other ones that it'd be like, let's set up a time. Not treating them differently. I'm treating them accordingly.
100%. 100%. And that's why, like I said, like just coming on here today and really picking your brain about it, because I think it would be
By the
not
way,
only
by the way,
it.
bro, I just want to say this too. I
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
my phone and do not disturb all day.
Mm,
There are a handful of people that can get through while I'm on do not disturb. My phone stay in do not disturb.
guess whose phone about to be? Not just that's
I
me
know some people
next.
on here. Some people on here right now think I'm crazy. I know too,
Nah,
right?
I agree. It should
If
be.
your number is not saved in my phone, it sends you directly to voicemail. I got that setting on my phone too, which drive the people crazy because we live in a guarded, gated community. So they be trying to call when people trying to get. I'm like, you better call my wife. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? You in trouble calling me. But standards though, these are things that I had to put in place that I'm like, oh, that's okay, yeah, yeah, because otherwise I just be distracted all day.
Facts. Facts.
And
I
then on
agree.
Sunday, I'm all the way in do not disturb, right? Because I'm with the one who I'm gonna be with, my wife or my family and everybody else. It just that's what it is on Sunday.
Yeah, and I agree, man. Because the best part about you even doing that is that because for me, right, I would take my phone on and off it, right, because now people are getting mad they can't disturb me.
Hmm.
I'm like, but I wasn't being disturbed. I was focused. I was locked in. I was concentrated. When I had it on do not disturb, I take it off, and now it's free access, right? And that's why I even agree in doing
And
that. And that's something that
access
I
ain't
implement.
free.
Exactly.
And access ain't free. That's
Yeah.
exactly it right there. Access
Yeah.
ain't free.
Yeah.
And your urgency ain't my emergency.
Mm.
It's just not. What they say when you call to schedule an appointment at the doctor's office, if this is an emergency, dial 911. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Otherwise, wait for the beep, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on that kind of time. If this is emergency, dial 911. Somebody told me yesterday and was like, yo do not disturb so crazy. If I call you twice in a row, I still don't go get through. I was like, well, how else is this supposed to work? It's like, oh, it's a setting that if somebody could call you once and then they call you twice, they get through. I'm like, well, that's still disturbing. I don't understand. I don't understand that logic. I said, well, thanks for telling me that, and I'm gonna act like you didn't tell me that.
Access ain't free, man.
It's just not, bro.
Nah.
Because
Yeah.
your urgency ain't my emergency. Something just happened to you in your life at a point in time that immediately made you think that you needed to call me, share something with me, question me, whatever. That your urgency ain't my emergency. That didn't just happen in my life. So I need to discern and distill what it is that you need from me and then handle that accordingly. Cause I got people on this calendar that I gotta serve, and I got things I gotta do, and I got content I gotta shoot, and I gotta be in the right flow state, and I gotta be in the right vibe, and the right state of peace, and the right state of mind. That I can't allow that potential to interrupt what I got going on. So I need to figure out, is this something that we can handle after 6, or is this something that we need to handle next Wednesday? I don't know.
100%, man. I agree. And that's why, like I said, I came here today to just express true transparency, because man, I was so tired of building my dream and starting and stopping, bro. Starting and stopping. I'm building and not building. I'm building and but not building. I remember this one verse in scripture where Jesus was like, "Who builds without counting the cost first?"
Luke 14:28, one of my
Bro,
favorites.
I was building and not counting the cost. Because the next thing he says is they're gonna look at you and be like, look at him who started building and then stopped. right? And all that's all I would be doing, bro. And
And
I'm like, yo,
they will ridicule you and call you a fool. 100%.
exactly. And I'm like, I refuse to keep going into seasons with the blueprint right in front of me, which is the Bible, and then God putting you in position in front of me as well, giving me the answer and me not implementing it. There's no point in having head knowledge if it doesn't turn to heart knowledge. If it does not become a part of your DNA, there's no part of you knowing it. And the most thing that convicted me in scripture is when it says for him to know what is good and for him to not do it, for him it's sin. I
100%.
know all these good things to do and when to do it and why to do it and why I should be doing it. And guess what? Because of the illusion of control, I think I can pick and choose. And I was like, that has to be thrown out the window. Like this week, I was like, yo, we're throwing out every illusion of control in every area, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you feel like you have control in this area, you're just gonna assume you have control in all areas. And I don't, right? And I was just living with some sense, some subconscious sense of entitlement, some subconscious sense of I have time to do it when I want to do it. And that's
Mm,
not the truth. It's
mm.
not. I'm on God's timing, not mine. I there's a time, as much as God takes his time with us, there's a time frame to growth, right?
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
there's a time frame to that. And I'm
For
like,
sure.
I don't want to keep missing out on my time frames of
But
growth.
everything there is a season. For sure it's time. Yeah,
Right?
it's
So I don't
100%.
want to do that. I don't want to keep missing these time frames of growth, or these, or finally surpassing a barrier or a new obstacle I overcome, and then all I do in that next season is go back to the obstacle I just overcame. That's just a life of recovery, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are going into, and this is why I'm not trying to rush this season, because a lot of us rush out of our current season just to ruin the new one. I'm
Bro,
not doing that.
bro, listen to me, man.
Like,
God will give you the same test on a different sheet of paper. Keep playing with him you want to. He will give you the same test on a different sheet of paper until you pass it. Period. So everything you're saying is spot on, bro. That you explained the story of my life. Oh, cause he know I'm bro. I'm gonna figure it out. Like I'm gonna always figure out how to maneuver. And he showed me like, yeah, I gave you the ability to maneuver, but you still only gonna maneuver in the confines of how I want you to maneuver. Took me 30 plus years to figure that out. 30 plus years to figure that out, bro. This is what I'm telling you. At 23, and you already asking these questions and implementing these things in your life is gonna put you eons ahead of everybody.
I
And
appreciate
so just seriously, man, staying fully surrendered. I mean, I was in the prayer closet either it had to be last night, right? So I read in the morning that Bible plan, and then at night, most nights, 90 plus percent, we got to score A, right? 90 plus percent of the time, I'm back in the closet for 30 minutes with him, just talking to him, listening, maybe going back reading something else that I may have missed that morning or something, but last night I was in the closet and I just like, man, I just fully surrendered every aspect of my life. I have to. It's not that's the first time I made that declaration, but I have to constantly make that declaration to remind me of that. The outcomes are up to you. I want my peace every day. I want my joy every day. Them the things you promised me. Everything else up to you. I just want them every day. I want my peace every day. I want my joy every day. And I'm gonna put my hands to the thing that I believe I'm supposed to in this season. The outcomes up to you. Fully surrendered everything. Wherever you want me to go, I'll go. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. Just last night, wrote it in my prayer journal. Just another constant reminder, let them know, man, I'm on your time. You ain't on mine. There was a season, a long season of life, of where it was like, I want to do this. And then I'm gonna ask God to participate. That's what most of us do,
it.
right?
Yeah.
We go into prayer and we already have concluded what we're doing. We just telling him about it and call that prayer.
You just telling, you ain't even
Yeah, so
asking.
check this out. So this my plan. Okay, I'm about to go run this play. I'm gonna need a couple dollars to take care of everything in the He like, oh really? That's what we doing. Whereas now I'm like, nah, I'm not doing anything other than what you want me to do. as I take delight in you, you give me the desires of your heart, then of my heart, then that means you're not gonna give me everything I want, you're gonna give me everything to want. So I want what you want. So let's talk about that. I'm gonna be most successful at doing what he wants me to do. Period. I'm gonna be most successful doing what's been called in according to his will and his purpose for my life. I'm abundantly clear of that after multiple do-overs for decades, taking that same test on a different sheet of paper.
Mm. Man, yeah, bro.
So I
Listen,
can save you a few decades. That I can promise you.
hey, you just saved me 10 in this conversation alone, man. Because, like I said, I remember, one of the one of the other calls we had, and this was offline, and you were basically telling me you were seeing me going through the struggle of surrendering, right? We
Mm-hmm.
were talking about that, and I just never want to come here with the mindset of I know it all. What do I know? If I knew it all, I wouldn't be talking to you, right? So I don't ever want to come here and be like, oh yeah, I already know that, or oh yeah, I already heard that. What like, and not to belittle myself, obviously, because there's this there, but what can I tell you that you haven't heard before? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that you've already been through, you've already experienced, you've paid thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn. Whereas me, this is the most I've invested in myself up until this
Mm-hmm.
point. So who am I to be like, oh man, yeah, I already heard that, or I don't need to ask him that question. I got it all figured out. Listen, I ain't got nothing figured out. Okay, we gonna figure it out. We gonna build it. But I refuse to just come on here with a sense of pride. I've been too prideful, and I read this in Proverbs the other day. It's in the Message version, and it said, the bigger the ego, the harder the fall. That's what
Mm-hmm.
it said in that version.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tired of falling. I'm not gonna come on here and be like, oh yeah, Ryan, I don't need to ask you that. No, I'm gonna come ask you what is on my heart to ask you, because who am I to pick and choose what I want to learn? And I'm, like we said last week, don't let what I do know get in the way of what I don't know. There's a lot that I don't know.
Facts. The
So
smarter I get, the dumber I am. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's all I could tell you, bro.
yeah,
The smarter I get, the dumber I am. I am flabbergasted at how much I don't know every day. And it's important to stay in that place, right? I guess that's another place that you would call like discomfort, right? Like it's important to stay in that tension of, dang, the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. It's a beautiful place to be in. Because if you're not keeping score with how much you know, you'll find out you know quite a bit.
mm,
But if you fall in love with what you know, then you're gonna lose the opportunity of what you don't. Right? So I did promise that I was gonna talk about this success formula. Who's let me know if y'all want me to share this success formula with y'all now or you want me to wait until another time. Let me know in the chat if y'all want me to share this success formula with y'all now. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Many of you that's coming to the challenge next week, I'm gonna expand on this success formula and so much more. By the way, if you have not gotten your ticket to the Purpose to Profits Challenge and you have a coaching consulting business or you happen to be an expert at your craft and you're not already making 6 figures a month and serving people at the highest level, then you probably want to get your ticket. Purpose to Profits Challenge.com. You get to spend 5 days with me and David. It's $17 for general admission, 47 for VIP, where you get to ask questions every day for an hour. I'm just telling you, I'm to no avail anywhere else, and David is neither. We got coaching programs that go up into the 6 figures. If you're serious about getting it right, just
yeah.
the link. I'll put the link in the description somewhere or something, and you figure
It
that
is
out.
what it is what he says it is. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
the first
Purpose
to
to Profit
vouch.
Challenge.com. Yeah. So Darian said this is confirmation and strong. Sharonda says, thank you both for your transparency. Control needs to be in order. Everything there is a season. God will give you the same text on test on a different sheet of paper. Facts. Facts.
Yeah,
That's how you operate.
yeah. They
Okay,
want
cool.
it. They want the
Okay.
success.
All right, cool. I don't know why they get me on the scroll every time. I'm like, oh, it's no comments coming in. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, there they
Rhonda
you
said now,
you just
driving
got it.
down the street said, I appreciate the wisdom. I want to hear the success formula, the
Okay,
quantum
cool.
success you want to hear. So yeah.
All right, bet. All right, so here we go. So it's so interesting, right? I got the success formula, as I mentioned, from a paid consultant, which I'm gonna give for free to you today, many years ago. And as much as for the sake of simplification and easy to remember and recall, I would love to call it the DEEP formula, right? Which is DEEP. The problem with that though is if I really gave it to you in that order, it would be the unsuccessful formula. And I'm gonna explain why that is here in a second. So it's actually called the DEPE formula. Again, for those of y'all coming to the challenge next week, I'm gonna break this down even further. Okay. But the D is for desire. Okay. Now here's the thing. The catalyst to having success in anything is having desire for the thing. You got to, right? So, but it's not just having a desire, like, oh, they in the trucking business making millions. I'm gonna go get in the trucking business and make millions. It don't go like that. The desire I'm talking about is the Psalm 37:4 desire. You heard me reference it several times since I've been talking. Take delight in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. Most interpret that is that God will give you everything you want, but the true essence of the text is that he'll give you everything to want. So when his desires become your desires and you start working on the things that he desires for you to work on, what you think happened in your life? Right? One of my homeboys called it the Mario Star for my 80s babies. He like, that's like getting the Mario Star the video game. You know what I'm saying? You out of control. You're unstoppable. So that's the D. So then it's not enough just to have the desire. Many of y'all have been stuck in that place of desire for some time, right? There's been several coaching clients that recently come in like, Brian, you know, I've been holding on to this for 7 years. Like, Jesus Christ. I know that's painful, right? I've been there. So it's not good enough just to hold on to the desire. Then we got to go steward over the desire. How we do that is the E, which is for education. We got to go out and get educated. Proverbs 15:22, many plans fail because of lack of counsel, but with multiple advisors, they succeed. That's wisdom. We got to go get coaching. We got to get consulting. We got to go get help. We got to go get education if we want to steward well over this desire, because it's not enough just to have a desire and then go out there and start becoming the P, which is the practitioner, without the education. Is this making sense? So the D is for desire, the E is for education, the P is for practitioner. James 2:26, faith without what is dead? Faith without works is dead. So we can't get educated and just be hearers of the word. We got to move into a place that we become doers of it. And then if we do that long enough, if we can stay diligent and disciplined long enough, then eventually we'll get to the other E, which is expert. We will log our 10,000 hours. We will become greater than those who are below us, for lack of a better term, that we can do what? Then help. We can go and help others with our own life experience, both acquired and earned skill, that we can then pour into other people and help them go achieve the things and even more than what we've been able to accomplish. Like the wisest, richest man in the Bible called King Solomon, who contemporaries paid him hundreds of millions of dollars, the equivalent of such, and traveled countries over to sit at his feet and learn from him. DEPE, success formula: desire, education, practitioner, expert. Listen to me. I've used this in every industry that I've been in. And when I tell you, if you follow this framework, you can't miss, I'm telling you, you can't miss. Stop just doing stuff every day. Actually go sit with God in prayer, have conversation, and get the true desire. The thing that you've been suppressing because you've been scared to act on it, or confused how to act on it, or not feeling like you got the provision to act for it. Because if he give you the vision, he make the provision. You worried about the wrong things. That's back having control again. Control is the antithesis of faith. So we got to be able to sit with God and have conversations about the things that we think that we desire and ask him how that align with his desire. And then we got to go get educated. Why? Because if it's worth doing for him, it's definitely worth doing right. We got to go get some wise counsel. Stop just calling ourselves life coaches because we got certifications from John Maxwell. Hello? Okay. We got to go get educated. Okay. And how to actually run a business and be effective in this space and do marketing and content and all the rest of it. Then we become practitioners. We got to go actually take action. We can't stay stuck in ideation mode. We got to go take action, imperfect action, because none of it's ever going to be perfect. And then we do that long enough again, we become the expert. People will pay us and pay us well to teach them how to go do the things that we've been blessed and accomplished to do. And life is great. You never feel like you work a day in your life. What I'm doing with praise right now don't feel like work. What I'm gonna be doing with the 100+ uh, amazing coaches and consultants next week won't feel like work for me and David. We're blessed that we've been able to make millions of dollars in this space and help others do the same. One of our students, Alex, I don't know if you've seen that praise, he made $257,000 in 60 days after coming into the program. Desire education practitioner expert. I mean, what you want me to do? It just works. So, anywho, was that helpful, y'all? I know y'all asked me to. What was the scripture for D? Was Psalm 37:4. Take delight in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. Praise. Any last questions, thoughts? Um, did anybody else let us know in the chat if y'all had a question or two before we get out of here?
Man, yeah, first things first, I just, with my name being praised, I always got to give some.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got to, once again, just appreciate you the way been serving and stewarding and really pouring, bro. Like every single time I sit here and we talk, it is mind blowing. Like it, it's, it's not normal for me, bro. I can't sit here and act like it's normal. Was I was thinking about a topic that I want to talk about when I get these YouTube videos rolling, and it's called miracle amnesia,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of us we just have miracle amnesia about all the miracles God has done for us. Like you getting mad that there's a new thing ain't happened. You should be praising God for what did happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking about all the things God has done, and you're a miracle in my life, bro. I did not know what I was gonna do for this business or how I was gonna get anything done, and you're my confirmation that I'm supposed to be in this field. Because I would ask him multiple times, like, Lord, is this what you want me to do? He's like, is sending a person not enough who's in the field that, like, what else do you need me to do? Like, you want me to come down there myself? And I'm like, no, you got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to always, give you your flowers for that, man, because this is like, it blows my mind every day that we're even in communication, bro. It was what is it, a week before March or a week or two before March or into March where I followed your page, and now look at where we at in just a couple of months. So I'm just grateful to be here, man, and I just appreciate you for being the amazing steward and leader that you've been. So yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. You showing up ready to go every single week, um, being considerate of everything you just shared, right? The time, the investment, um, the resource, all of it. You stewarding well, and that's the reciprocity I'm talking about. Do you get far more in this exchange? Maybe. I'm definitely getting something from it because I get fed from feeding, and not very often do I get to pour into a container that's not a strainer.
Mm,
Not very often I get to pour into a container that's not a strainer. There's many people that show up and pretend like they want the smoke, but then as you pour in, it just strain out. They don't retain it. So to see you actually retaining it and applying it, I mean that's all I can ask for, right? I mean that's the gift to me,
mm,
and so I'm grateful for that. And as a byproduct, there's so many people, hundreds if not thousands of folks who get to benefit from these conversations, and they're growing and evolving in their businesses and endeavors. And so it's just a gift to keep on giving, man. And I'm looking forward to continuing it. And You know, and next week we back on track with marketing, sales, um, and pretty soon, like I said, you're gonna be cutting that money printer on, and that's just it's just the reality of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I ain't,
for real.
you know, I hate to act like this is some type of magic trick, but it ain't. It's a
Yeah,
principle trick. You know what I'm saying? And if you work these principles, then you're gonna be all right. If you don't, you're gonna get tricked out your spot.
yeah, yeah. One
You
hundred
know.
percent. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Miss Sharonda. I appreciate that. Uh, yeah. Any questions? We want to get a chat. One last chance if y'all got a question. If not, we will see many of y'all at the challenge next week, and others of you maybe on live next week. Anything popping that brilliant mind of yours before we close, praise?
Man, you answered all my questions, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, this probably be one that need to be rewatched.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
one
Because
hundred percent.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there were a few blackout moments for me. So yeah, this
yeah,
would be a good one to go back and rewatch. You
yeah.
know?
I need it. You know me. I love the homework. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I appreciate you.
yeah, yeah. You welcome. I believe that's Dr. D. I think you welcome
Yeah,
Dr. D.
yeah, yeah. You're welcome. Thank you both. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
For sure. We got to, Dr. D, we got to get your picture on your icon. You know what I'm saying? We got to get your, because that's like, we got to know it's you. We got to know it's you. Anywho, I'm going to quit picking with Dr. D. I'll be picking with her all the time. But that's the eight in me though, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, I can't see things that I feel like could be of a benefit to those that I care for and then not say nothing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
If I got a booger, tell me I got a booger. You're not being polite by not telling me I got a booger. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That's not a friend for me.
yeah,
So you finally catch up with yourself later. Like, man, I've been walking. How long I've been walking around like this? Like I've been with dog all this time. He ain't said nothing. They being polite. No, I'm gonna tell you, hey, that right nostril. You want to get that right nostril. You know, check that out. What was going on? Just the right nostril. Just the right nostril needs some attention. That's what a friend is, man.
yeah. Hey, faithful wounds are a friend are better than the kisses of the enemy. Come on,
I'm trying to tell you the truth.
come on.
I'm trying to tell you the truth. And
Yeah,
and, and I'll just end on this because I don't know who I was talking to about this, but it's fresh. Got to stop giving unsolicited advice to to those who haven't already requested that you be in that capacity in their life, right? Like Dr. D, that's one of my clients, right? She's already given me the authority to be able to speak into things that could help her in her business, which is why I made that recommendation. But Joe Schmo off the why? Because you're casting your pearl before swine.
mm,
That's why you hear me say, "Hey, can I make a recommendation? Hey, can I coach you?" Right? Because I'm not giving unsolicited. Because what happens is because people have a hard time digesting the truth, then they'll reject the truth. And you don't want to keep getting caught in friendly fire on the opposite end of that.
oh, man, that's powerful.
So back to not treating people differently, but accordingly. According to who you are in my life, you an accident waiting to happen somewhere, but you ain't my accident, you somebody else's. Oh, you need the help, you just don't need my help. Oh, somebody need to sit you down and talk to you, just not me. It's some barbershop talk that you just don't need to meddle in. There's some things you scroll by on social media, and as much as you want to say something, that one ain't your battle. You gotta let that go. That's all part of the standard. It's all part of the discipline. Just going back to that again. It will
Yeah,
keep you out of a lot of mess and keep you out of a lot of anguish by trying to pour into people that don't want to be poured into. They'll show up pretending like it, until the truth is hard to digest, and then they'll reject it, which means they'll also reject you. Praise always coming around trying to talk to everybody like he better than somebody, and what do he know? I remember when he was doing X, Y, Z. Why? Because they not accountable to themselves. So why they want to be accountable to you? Don't nobody who ain't accountable to them want to be accountable to nobody else. I think that's a good place to stop. Y'all be good. We will see y'all in the week. I'll see others of you at the challenge. God bless y'all. Praise. Always a pleasure, bro.
Sir.